Yeah. So today, what we will see, we will see what is the background when we say Snowflake, IT field or the data warehouse, how it came to an why people started going behind Snowflake, and what is the need that is addressed by Snowflake. Okay, so in that regard, we will try to find out some quick information. See, remember, this demo is not going to have any technical content of Snowflake. Okay, so technical content we can get it from everywhere. But what we will be covering here is that some confusions in the internet so that you will understand why people are going behind Snowflake. So that is the key thing we will be seeing here. So if you wanted to know some syntax related thing, how to implement certain features of Snowflake, so there are a number of videos and materials and help are available in the internet. But we need to know some, we need to clarify before we start spending time and money into Snowflake. We should really know like what are the traps around in the market, and we should be having a clear idea of, okay, so this is what Snowflake is addressing, and that is the reason companies are running behind Snowflake. Okay, so one common reason behind run behind Snowflake is that the performance, because of the performance. But other than that, there are n number of main issues, which is which is the reason for companies to run behind Snowflake. Okay, so let me quickly. Okay, so I mean, I think my screen is. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this it was not visible. So I am Ashok Kumar Tangachami, and I am a certified pro. Okay, and I have 15 years of experience, and I have worked in Oracle heavily. Okay, and I have worked almost all the parts of projects which have used the SQL query as a as an main essence. Okay, and I too have run behind the fancy term called data scientist, and I tried with to become an big data engineer by learning Hadoop, but none of them worked for me. And I randomly tried Snowflake, and it really worked well for me. And so far, I have trained almost 16 to 17, 16 to 18 number of people, and out of them has got, I mean, most of them has found their results. Okay, so unless until they have any deviation from the objective, most of them has ended up in the result, and almost 4 to 5 people has got their Snowflake certified after putting extra effort from the training. So my training was the base for them, but that is not an insurity for getting up the certification. Okay, so that is a quick background of mine. So let us get into some things. So as I told you, like this training, this demo is not going to contain any technical content of Snowflake, but we will get to know the different challenges and the history of data warehouse, and why the modern day data warehouse requires a database like Snowflake. So that is what we are going to quickly see now. Okay, and then. So see, if you see, I mean, if you see the history of data warehouse, right? So I mean, don't get don't think that this is irrelevant to the topic, or this is not something which you have expected from this from this demo. Okay, so most of the people are confused in order to understand like what is in structured data, what is in semi-structured data, what is in real-time data, what is big data, what is data warehousing, what is data engineering. So all these terms and all, it is it is like an unconnected dots. Okay, so in order to connect all of them, we must know this one. Okay, so don't think that, please don't think that, try to pay some attention here, because this will really give you some complete picture of what's happening in the market, and what is relevant and what is irrelevant. Okay, so please don't think that it's going to be some college kind of lecturerships kind of topic. Okay, so pay some attention so that you be able to understand many dots and traps, especially traps in the market. Okay, so the data warehouse started earlier in 2000, and then people started using their technology which was available at that point of time. So when we say available at that point of time, it was like, databases like Oracle, SQL Server, and they tried to create products on top of the existing databases like Informatica, MicroStrategy, and they started utilizing for the data warehouse at that point of time. Okay, so this is one quick thing, so which is everyone is aware of this thing. So earlier in 2000, there were RDBMS and some products which is created on top of RDBMS, and people were happy to gain insights out of the data warehouse. But remember, at that point of time, we were only having structured databases. There is no live database. There are only structured databases. Okay. So now what happened, because of the social media exploration, okay, many unstructured data started coming in, and we were not having enough technology to make insights out of them. Okay, so what happened, like companies started rolling out with the new technologies, but none of them were really helping out in addressing or making insights out of the big data, the social media content, so which is what we call it as big data. So without including the social media content, we can never call a data warehouse is capable of big data. Okay, so in order to handle the social media content, which is otherwise the unstructured data, the relational databases were not sufficient enough, for the technology. The RDBMS was not sufficient to handle them. So then what happened? They started coming up with the Hadoop related ecosystems. I mean, they started with Hadoop file system, and they, based upon their growth, they started rolling out more and more products, individual products. Okay, like a Scoop and Airflow, Hive, Pig, and MapReduce, all those things they started releasing one after the other. But what happened, like that has started creating an ecosystem. Okay, so remember, the big data or the Hadoop is an ecosystem. That is, if you are already from that kind of environment, you will agree to me. But big data as it is, or the Hadoop is not big data, Hadoop as it is an ecosystem. This means that you will have n number of tools to maintain your data lake. Okay, so that is one thing to notable, and I'll tell you like what is the downside of that one. But what exactly is addressed by the Hadoop ecosystem? So it is capable of handling all your structured data and semi-structured data and live data too. So whenever if you are getting live and completely unstructured data, when we say completely unstructured data, it is like about audio quality, audio content, video content, and images and so on. Okay, so here, remember earlier we were having Oracle and SQL Server, which is capable of only handling structured data, and big data, Hadoop is capable of handling structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. And people the target audience to consume all these data, they differ considerably. We will see who are they, who are the consumers of the relational DBMS and big data based DBMS and Snowflake based DBMS. Okay, so here it gives you a quick. I mean, if you have joined in our group on yesterday, you must have read this PPT, and even if you don't do it, please take your time to do it. So I don't want to read out just like a news reader, but in essence, this is what the case is. Okay, so big data, it supports live, structured, unstructured, and semi-structured database data content. Okay, but what these are some differences of conventional RDBMS based data warehouse and big data based data lake. Okay, so one supports only batch and the other supports batch and live. Okay, and here if you see, one quick thing is that, so here is where many people are getting trapped in. See, if you see here, the required knowledge to work in data warehouse is SQL and PL SQL or any SQL writing capability, SQL writing capability. But in case of big data, though it is an evaluation of your data warehouse, the people who are from SQL backend or background, they cannot directly go into big data and start working over there. So if you have any difference of opinion over here, please you can convey here at any point of time. Even if I'm preaching something wrong or irrelevant or spreading wrong information, you can obviously come over and you can talk to me. Okay, so because I have tried from myself of all these things, whatever I'm preaching here, so with my knowledge, whatever it is you are seeing here is correct. Okay, but still I am welcoming your opinion also. And for coming back to this topic, like for the data warehouse to work on, you need to know any RDBMS or SQL query writing capability. But in case of big data, you should know Java or Python or Scala kind of languages in order to implement your big data. So just because data warehouse, data lake is the next generation data. Just because data lake is an upgraded version of data warehouse, don't think that people who have worked in a data warehouse are directly capable of working in a big data environment. Okay, so it needs altogether different set of technologies to work upon it. Okay, but being said that, it has their own set of other set of differences. Like it is only a batch processing, and big data is capable of handling live also. Okay, and it is capable of handling semi-structure and structure, and the sizes are also very different, very large. Okay, and the the file formats wherein your data lake or data warehouse is created upon, that is also altogether different. Okay, so any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, so this is one thing, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, and yeah, so this is the continuity of the previous slide. Okay, so you can read it out, but I don't want to read out everything, and I wanted to share this PPT and make everyone understand this PPT instead of me going individually to everyone and clarify their doubts. Okay, so this is another set of differences between your conventional data warehouse and big data based thing. Okay, so if you see here, the target users of your data warehouse and big data differs. Okay, so this is nothing. The reason behind is that for you, in order to interpret your structured data or the data from your data warehouse, all you need is only your business knowledge. Okay, so you don't need a heavy mathematical related background. But in case of big data, in order to make insights out of your semi-structured and unstructured data, you must be a data scientist or must be having some good mathematical background. Because without having that, you cannot understand that. Okay, so you cannot analyze an audio file or a video file or images and interpret what is available inside those particular files. Okay, so remember, this is a huge thing. So just because your big data is the next level of data warehouse, that doesn't mean that the consumers of your big data and the data warehouse are same. It's not like that. So in order to interpret your unstructured data, you must know some mathematical algorithms in order to interpret and make use of them. Okay, and obviously the markets, the salaries is also beyond the imagination or the standard numbers in the market. Okay, so this is one thing which I wanted to convey you. And as I told you, like big data is an ecosystem, right? So coming back here, so we have these many products or these many utilities. These many utilities are used in order to keep your ecosystem, big data Hadoop ecosystem up and running. So this means that someone who wanted to work on someone who is responsible in maintaining your data lake, they must be aware of all these tools. And from the company's perspective, this kind of utility based environment or the ecosystem kind of environment, right, for them this is actually an overhead in maintaining the data lake. So when I say overhead, like this is fragile actually. To put in a very simple words, an ecosystem is obviously a fragile environment. So if you are from a relevant background, you must agree to me. So if in order to debug one issue, you must depend on more than one tools, and if one tool fails in your production, then you should debug in more than one places in order to find out the reason. So maintaining an ecosystem is not a very simple thing. So it's an pain over there. Okay, so remember that. I mean, this is the challenges seen by the companies also. So that is the reason even when Hadoop is capable of handling structured and semi-structured and unstructured data, many companies are not success at implementing a successful data lake in their environment. Or in other words, many companies couldn't make out to Hadoop system or Hadoop ecosystem, even though they need it or they made an attempt to do it. Okay, so to these utilities, if you wanted to know the purpose of these utilities, then that you can make use of the documentation and find the PPT and find out the purpose of each and everything. And quickly, if you want me to tell one thing, that this Kafka, where do we have Kafka here? No, Kafka is not there. Okay, so Kafka is something. Yeah, here it is. So Kafka is something is used for live streaming. So if you wanted to bring any live data, you need to use Kafka here. Okay, and Hive is something like if you wanted to if you wanted to query the data of your storage system, you need to depend on this Hive thing. So if, using Hive prompt, you can query your data using plain SQL. You can write your select star from kind of query and fetch data from here. Okay, so this is Woozy. I believe it is scheduling. Yeah, it is scheduling, and this is for optimizing your data, like how you create indexes, right? So to improve your indexes. Okay, and this MapReduce is something which is an older technology or older utility which is even today many training institutes are teaching this MapReduce. So never ever go and learn MapReduce. So they have come up with many modern utilities, which is they have most of the utilities are clubbed into one product called Apache Spark. So this Apache Spark started combining most of the utilities seen here and not seen here. Okay, so this means that Spark can replace and it can consolidate the purpose of many utilities. So don't try to. I mean, the main replacement of Spark is this MapReduce. So don't try to spend your time and effort in learning MapReduce and ask them to learn teach you Spark. Okay, and Spark is not that straightforward, or there is no technology which is. I mean, you cannot. There is no analogy of Spark in the current technology world. Okay, so Spark it is and distributed and in-memory data processing framework. So if you are from Java and other backgrounds, so it's for you, it could be much more easy to learn Spark. But for people who have worked in RDBMS, Oracle, PLSQL, SQL Server, SSIS, Informatica, for them Spark is going to be little harder for you. I will not say that it is not reachable, but it is not that easy. It's not a simple migration of learning from MicroStrategy to Power BI or Informatica into any other data stage or kind of thing. It's going to be an altogether different product for you. And remember, companies who are using Apache Spark are really paying very well, because Spark is used most of the in a place where live streaming is needed. Okay, so if you know Spark and if you manage Spark, you can your salary can easily cross a salary of a Snowflake Pro or Snowflake certified resources. Okay, but again, it requires more patience, and at least I am not into that area. Okay. So, like as I told you in the earlier slide, like the challenges of companies who are using big data is that it is fragile and it needs the for maintaining and patching and all. It is really hard for the companies to do without with less downtime. Okay, and finding the resources to maintain it is also harder. Okay, and some more disadvantages are also there. You can read it out. Okay, so now what, what is the issue, or what is the business gap seen by Snowflake, and why it is getting famous in the market? So now coming to the real objective of our demo. See, as I told you, like yeah, RDBMS only addresses structured data, and big data addresses both, structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. And also, I mentioned that big data is not meant for everyone, right? So this also means that a company who is having data warehouse, a company who is having a data warehouse on an RDBMS, which is from structured data, they cannot directly jump into an semi-structured data, and they cannot directly jump into an unstructured data. So let us say I have a data warehouse and I have my own business team, and they are making insights out of my, they are creating dashboards, reports, and they are generating insights out of my business from my data warehouse. But I cannot altogether dispose this team and bring in my unstructured data and then start making money from my unstructured data, like say audio related thing or video related files and so on. Okay, so obviously the business, I can improve my business by observing what is happening in the social media, but the data or the data about my company inside social media is obviously embedded within an unstructured data and semi-structured data. Okay, so this gap is a very important thing. So companies cannot move from structured into unstructured data directly. They have to break this migration in two steps. So they have to move from structured into semi-structured data, and from there they have to move into unstructured data. Okay, so Snowflake is really good at companies who are matured enough to move into semi-structured data. Snowflake is not good at, remember, Snowflake is not good at handling live data. So they claim that they are good at handling unstructured data, but practically they are not matured enough to handle this one. Okay, so they only can they are really good at handling semi-structured data. When I say semi-structured data, you can handle file formats like JSON, XML, Avro, Parquet, ORC, and so on. Okay, so you can bring in all your all your text-based, not freehand text. Okay, so your structured text-based data in these many formats and bring it into Snowflake and do your analysis on this. Okay, so now this means that if my data warehouse, this also means that if my data warehouse is having structured data and I'm bringing in semi-structured data, I don't need to go into an big data environment, or I don't need to go. I don't want to set up an Hadoop environment in order to maintain my semi-structured data. Okay, so if I'm only matured enough to have semi-structured data, I don't want to go into Hadoop environment, and I am very well suited into Snowflake. So here is where many companies are really running behind Snowflake. So they all wanted to move. Ultimately, they wanted to achieve start analyzing all your unstructured data, streaming data, but they cannot do it. They cannot go over there directly. They wanted to go in two steps. So they will start moving into semi-structured data, which is very well handled by Snowflake, and that is the reason why Snowflake is really, really catching up in the market. Okay, and tomorrow, if Snowflake or any other companies are coming up with their own product, which is really good at handling unstructured data like audio, video quality, then obviously Snowflake will start losing its market, and the other companies will really gain more visibility. And companies like AWS are having their own data science or their own set of products to create insights out of unstructured data, but they are not companies are not ready to invest or run behind those products. Okay, so if you go into this AWS console and find out the data science kind of products, you will get to know many, you will see many list of products related over there. Okay, and this is the reason for why companies are running behind some broken or the detailed informations of why companies are running behind Snowflake. Okay, so in order to work on Snowflake, you don't. I mean, just because another point. So just because Snowflake is a superset of big data, or it is a next generation of big data. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you need to know. You must know the technical you must satisfy the technical need of big data in order to work on Snowflake. It's not like that. Okay, so on the left hand side, if you have Oracle kind of RDBMS, and in the middle, if you have an big data, and on the right hand side, if you have a Snowflake. Okay, so you can easily skip the middle thing. Okay, middle Hadoop environment. Okay, you can easily move into Snowflake. Okay, so this means that if you are from Oracle, you can very well fit into Snowflake. If you are from any RDBMS and ETL related background, then definitely you can easily fit into Snowflake. So don't think that okay, so Snowflake is really suppressing the Hadoop market, and does it mean that I should know Hadoop in order to learn Snowflake? It is completely ignorable. Okay, and if someone says that that you need to learn big data in order to learn Snowflake, don't trust them. Okay, and but technically or the business wise, Snowflake is actually the next generation of your Hadoop environment, but it is capable of, I mean, the people who have worked in RDBMS can directly work into Snowflake. Okay, so these all are certain points which you must have read so far, I believe. And any questions from anyone? Let me see how many people we have. 13. Okay. So any questions from anyone? Anyone want to discuss anything on this regard? Okay, so if you see in this PPT, you will find that what are the technology that is needed, and who all are the stakeholders of different conventional data warehouse versus big data warehouses versus Snowflake based data lake. Okay, so if you see here, like remember one thing that data scientists are the one who can work only with an unstructured data. So this is the thing which I wanted to re-stress again here. Okay, and these are the different expectations of different roles from the market. Okay, so if you are from if you are an ETL developer, okay, so you are not preferred beyond 8 years or 10 years of experience. Okay, and the same case with BI developer. Okay, so these kind of bottlenecks you must have heard, you must have suffered by now. Okay, and business technical analysts are the one. I mean, the demand for business technical analysis is that as long as they can make, they can bring income to the company, they are really needed. Okay, and this big data engineer, right? The big data engineers are really wanted, but so the demand for big data engineer or the Hadoop engineer, right? So they are really demanding in the market. But the challenge is that migrating into a qualified big data engineer, right? So upgrading ourselves into a qualified big data engineer, that is where the real challenge is. But I will not say that just because companies don't want to go to create their ecosystem, Hadoop ecosystem, and it is very hard to maintain it. But that doesn't mean that big data engineer does not have any popularity or demand in the market. They do have it, but the thing is that it is hard to get into it. Okay, and it needs, I mean, it's not an simple migration from an RDBMS background. Okay, and the same, I mean, with respect to data scientists, they are always wanted because companies is having a real scarcity of qualified data scientist, not a certified data scientist. Remember, there's a huge difference between a qualified one and a certified data scientist. Okay, so now, in case if you are stuck up with any of the following reasons, okay, so how you can clear up the bottleneck in your career. Okay, so if you are from what is this slide is about? Okay, so if you are from say technology background, like you must be either knowing okay, if you are from technology background, you can either learn any one of these things. Okay, but these below are the respective challenges in learning all those things. Okay, so if you are from Java and Scala Python, then you can really get into your big data engineering environment. Okay, but if you wanted to learn, if you want to jump into data engineering, then you must know all these things. But these all are some challenges in becoming the respective roles. If you wanted to become big data engineer, you should know Java and some data warehouse concept, and you should know the Hadoop environment. But it's really hard for you to get an real-time opportunity. So that is the challenge in becoming a big data engineer. You can learn Java, Scala, and Python, everything. Okay, but in order to jump into your, in order to claim your real-time knowledge, it's hard. At least at this point of time, it's hard to gain the real-time knowledge. And the salary is also good. And if you are big data engineer, even if you are beyond 15 years of experience, companies are ready to consider you. Okay, and the data scientist likes data scientists are right? So by this time you must be knowing like what is this data scientist and what they wanted to know and how much demand they have it. Okay, but there is a third criteria wherein you can make use of it to clear up all your career level bottleneck. Okay, so all you need to know is this SQL and a little Python. Okay, and you should know the conventional data warehouse concept, what is a fact table, dimension table, and how the data flow happens, and how to debug in case if you don't find a data at some point of time, and so on. Okay, and people who are from RDBMS environment, they can seamlessly migrate into a data engineering role. Okay, so they don't need any super knowledge or extra knowledge to grasp into a data engineering role. Okay, our companies are ready to consider you at this point of time because there is a huge demand for Snowflake resources. Okay, and because of that, if you know, I mean, if you show up the right attitude and some basics of Snowflake, companies are really ready to grasp you. Okay, so as you might know that, I mean, I'm working as an full-time data lead engineer. Okay, so when we are taking up interviews for new roles, we are given input saying that, okay, so don't try to don't expect the candidate to directly fit into your job description. Okay, but if he is from a similar role and if he shows the right attitude, just recruit them so that they will come over here and learn new things. Okay, so that is the input which is given to us when we are interviewing new guy. Okay, and I believe that is what the same with many companies also. Okay, so this is so this means that if you are stuck up with any of your current in your current career role, okay, so you can try out to become data engineer using Snowflake, and these all are the advantages and disadvantages and challenges in becoming data engineering. Okay, and going back to the new ones, these are some thing which is required to read it loud on your own. Okay, so if you are running behind the data scientist, like what are the challenges in becoming that one? Okay, so just in short, don't trust anyone who is having an who invites you by saying that, okay, so take up our 2 weeks course, 6 months course, 1 month, 1 month course, or even 1 year course, and we will give you as a data scientist. Just because they are calling you as a data scientist, we will not become a data scientist. You must know certain things in order to claim yourself as a data scientist. And this slide and the upcoming 2 or 3 slides will tell you like what is really needed. Okay, so you should know all these topics as a part of applied statistics, which is the basis for your to becoming a data scientist. You should know all these things. At least more than 50% of all these terminologies, you should be aware of this thing. Okay, so that is only half of the story. So once you know all these things, then you should know all these algorithms up and down, and you should know the use cases. You must know the use cases of each and every algorithms. Okay, and if you take up any one of these algorithms and try to solve one of our any problem faced inside a society, in your society, you can easily gain an PhD out of it. Okay, so when people say that a data scientist is the very lucrative or sexiest job of the 21st century, they are denoting or they are pointing out someone who is of that kind. Okay, not someone who has a certification or certificate from an well-known institute in the market. Okay, so don't trust all of them. So again, once you know all those algorithms, you can implement your known algorithm in any of these market segment. Okay, again, in order to implement in any of these market segment, you should know the business domain, the respective domain knowledge. You should know what is if you are say for example, if you take up this identity fraud detection, right? So you should know how many different, what are the common ways of making a fraud in the market. So you should know all these things in order to implement the knowledges which you have gained so far. So these are the different complexities or different challenges in becoming a data scientist. So just I wanted to give you a quick overview of this one. Okay, so assuming that you are convinced that you wanted to become a data engineer using Snowflake, okay, and not an Hadoop engineer or data scientist, okay, in order to clear up your career bottleneck. Okay, so these are the things which is needed. Okay, and you should be proficient in SQL and good at data warehouse. And if you are from an ETL background, it is well and good. Okay, and cloud knowledge is people run behind only on cloud in order to get their for a better career. But remember, cloud is a modified version of an ecosystem. It cannot be just like your Hadoop ecosystem, but again, cloud is also an ecosystem. So this means even cloud providers are also, even maintaining a data lake in a cloud is also an pain only. So companies who all are maintaining their cloud, maintaining the data lake on the cloud, they are also moving into Snowflake. You must have seen many companies, even in your companies, you must have seen many companies who are basically from cloud, they are moving into Snowflake. The simple reason behind is that cloud is also an ecosystem. So this means that in order to implement your data lake on a cloud, you must know more than one tool, and debugging and troubleshooting your issues in a cloud is always very pain. Okay, and it is again it is a fragile environment. Okay, and once so that is the reason why directly going and learning a cloud certification will not help you out, because already company started vacating their data lake from cloud. Okay, so just to you go there, and I mean just because, but I guess nowadays many dumps are circulating around for known cloud providers. Okay, and people think that, okay, so the recruiter or the interviewer, he himself is not aware that the dumps are not there, and just because we are certified using dumps and we can get into a job and start surviving. But that is not the case. The interviewer who is interviewing, he is well aware that the most of the candidates who claim certification, especially in cloud related technologies, if dumps are available, he is also in the IT field, and he must be knowing that, okay, so the guy who is interviewing, I mean the guy he is interviewing must be most likely he must have cleared it, the certification using only the dump. So they can, within few questions, they can crack you down. Okay, so don't do these kind of things. These all are very, very old tactics to claim your knowledge. Okay, so people are well aware of these things. So don't invest your time and money and running behind all these things. So instead, try to learn that one, find out what is the right knowledge, which will work out, which will not work out. Invest your time on that. Okay, and genuinely show your attitude. So if your interest behind all these things, I mean, I'm not blaming everyone, but I can see many people are taking up on this going taking up this kind of shortcut, which will definitely not work out. Which will definitely will not work out. Okay, so don't try to take up that one, because everyone is aware of this thing. Okay, and I mean, coming over here, in order to learn Snowflake, you don't need to be an expert in cloud technologies. Okay, so as a part of learning Snowflake, you will learn certain things about cloud, and that much is fair enough to work on Snowflake. Okay, so you don't need to work on a maximum. What you need to know about cloud with respect to Snowflake is that you should know what is an region, what is an S3 bucket, and how to create an SQS, how to configure SNS, and some basic configuration kind of things. So in mostly in the real-time environment, those things are taken care by NetOps engineer or network engineer or cloud admin. Okay, so but it's good to know what they are doing instead of blindly asking them to climb to do some certain things. It's good to know what they really are configuring. Okay, and uh, if you, in order to learn Snowflake, the maximum acceptable experience is 20 years. Okay, but if you go beyond 15 years or 17 years of experience, it's better to get certified and then climb for a job. Okay, but if you are below, if you are around 10 years of experience, okay, so you can learn Snowflake, and with some meaningful content in your CV, even if you are not having a Snowflake certified, companies are ready to consider you. Okay, so remember I mentioned that it's a meaningful content in a Snowflake in your CV. Okay, so other than Snowflake, what else I can learn in order to what else I can learn in order to make my career better, or in order to make the chance to increase the chances of landing up in a better job. So you can either learn some modern day ETL tool, okay, and some terminologies used in the cloud provider. I mean, in any of the cloud, yeah, in any of the cloud provider, and a little bit of Python. So remember, people are again running behind doing certification in Python and spending money and time in learning Python. But Python comes into the picture in the very rare cases. And remember, Python is not just meant for some set of group. So it is meant for everyone. It is a very simplest languages. So you don't need to learn this sit exclusively for learning Python. Okay, and again, in order when I say like learn any one of these modern day ETL tool, if you know Snowflake, learning any of these ETL tool is not going to be a very big headache for you. Okay, so if you take up an example, if you wanted to, if you go for an Informatica interview, okay, so you will mostly you will get questions from Oracle or SQL Server. You will get questions rarely from Informatica. Okay, so the reason behind is that if you wanted to know Informatica, you must know Oracle. That is the idea behind that one. So if you and similarly, if you wanted to know stream sets or material, you must know Snowflake. So if you say that you know Snowflake and if you don't know stream sets, then you will, but still you will be considered to work in stream sets or Matillion or DBT or Talent. Okay, so but if you mention these ETL tools as a part of your CV, your CV will get more visibility among the recruiters. Okay, so who has a very minimal knowledge of technical knowledge. Okay, so here is what we are. We are going to discuss like what kind of training we are giving up and how you can make use of the training and so on. Okay, so I started giving up training, the end-to-end complete training. Okay, and the second option, the Snowflake project-based training. So for this for the first option only, I have trained almost 16 people who got better results. And for the second option, I have started giving, and totally I have made 2 to 3 people, and out for them it is really working out. Okay, and I'll give you much more details of the different options, these two options, and based upon whatever that is suitable for you, you can choose something which is suitable for you. Okay, so the first one is that Snowflake end-to-end complete training says that it is the duration is for 10 to 12 weeks. Okay, so on each week you will be attending classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and if everyone is available, it will be on Saturday. Okay, and Monday morning India time 7 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. and Wednesday also the same time 7 to 8:15 India time a.m. Okay, and Friday also the same time only 7 to 8:15 IST. Okay, and it is going to be an Blackboard based or the presentation based training, and we will be I'll be giving the hands-on for wherever it is applicable. So I'll take up this prepared script, I will execute it and show it to you. Okay, and I'll share the content to you to make your own practice. And this is actually suitable for people who are working and who are in the break, or freshers can try this if they really don't have anything to try it out. Okay, if they are preparing for any aptitude kind of thing. Okay, and if they don't see any opportunities in the near future, as a last option, they can try this out, because they have to travel a lot to, they have a lot to cross. Okay, so people can easily get exhausted when they are freshers who are trying this option. But again, if they don't have any other option, they can try this thing out. But people who have already worked for many years, and if they are really in a break and waiting for and breakthrough, the Snowflake is a very good opportunity for them. Okay, so what will happen? Like, companies are really ready to give chances for one such people, because they are the one who will have that right attitude to climb up. So they'll be wandering for any rope to climb up in their life. Okay, so companies are really ready to consider if you are from a break. Okay, and this training well suits for them. So they spend 1 hour in the morning and they prepare almost 3 to 4 hours in a day. Okay, and one more very, 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 very important thing is that learning Snowflake and getting a career break is not something which you can do it as your day-to-day job. This really needs some extra effort to gain it. So I have seen many people who are coming up to my training. they are making their own effort, which is even I am not aware of that one, which means that they will learn Snowflake just before coming to my classes. Okay, so they will only be attending the classes in order to ensure that what I am doing is correct, or to cross verify their knowledge, and sometimes my knowledge is too. Okay, so that kind of attitude is really will take you to the cross skies, reach you skies. Okay, but this means that you need to definitely put extra effort. So just because Snowflake is simple to migrate, but that doesn't mean that you no need to have that perseverance to climb what we wanted it. So you must fight hard in order to achieve you wanted it. You must allocate some amount of time in your day-to-day per day in order to achieve what you wanted it, and then once you find the results, you can resume to your regular lifestyle. But in order to get the breakthrough, you must block 3 to 4 hours per day, because Snowflake will give you a good results only if you are ready to respect it properly. Okay, so that is one thing. This is one kind of training. Okay, and what else I would like to do? And one more thing, that if you are from a different time zone, right? Other than, I mean, mostly this timing will work for people who are in India as well as in US. Okay, so if you are from Malaysia or Singapore based time zone, or if you are from an UK based time zone, okay, so this live classes might not be suitable for you, but most of the people are falling into these two time zones, Indian time zone and US based time zone. Okay, so that is the reason why I have chosen this one, and this timing worked well for people in both cases. And in fact, IT field itself is surviving only because of this overlapping in the time zone. Okay, so other people from other time zones, please forgive me. You can you can look into these recording sessions and ping me privately for any clarifications. Okay, but for now I would say it is not that feasible, and I am really working out on one thing, that I'm trying to cut down that Saturday classes for the US and India based, I mean the weekday batches. For the weekday batches, I'm trying to cut down for the Saturday classes, and I'm trying to cover up for the other time zone people. But if it is working down, I will continue with that one. Otherwise, I might roll back it. Okay, and that is one kind of training. And the other training is that see, some people who are already having knowledge of Snowflake, right? So for them, they might not be aware of where they are actually, the how much the knowledge whatever they have acquired so far, is it an quantifiable amount, or whether it is they are in the very basic stage or in the advanced stage, or whether they can use that knowledge to move on to the next job or not. So these kind of people are there, and for them this second approach will work out. So what I will be doing is that I have some sample project. Okay, so that project, the project structure, I will share it with you. Okay, so I think I removed that one. I mean, I forgot to add. I'll show you the just a flow of that particular project. Okay, so there is a sample project. Okay, so that project I will ask people to implement on their own. I'll share the script anyhow, but still I'll ask them to read out the documentation and make their own struggle. So when you say that you need real-time experience, they actually saying that, are you aware of the issues faced in the real-time environment? Okay, so the real-time environment cannot be taught. Okay, so if I teach you something, which and then you can never call it as a real-time exposure. It doesn't matter even if I tell you, okay, so these are the issues which you will face while implementing certain things. Okay, so it's obviously you have to struggle certain things in order to implement it. So then only you will gain that confidence first of all. Okay, so this option, what we'll do, we'll try to give you some project and implement it, and then I'll ask you to do the same implementation as a part of a project from your own CV. You'll take up a project in your own CV and implement it over there using that. So the advantage is that, see, immediately you might think that, okay, so why can't I add your project as it is in my CV? You trust me, you will be really cracked down when you are doing that one. Because if they ask you like what are the table names and what is the client and what is the customers and too many things, too many questions can, there are many questions which can break you down easily. So it's a safe deal to merge your knowledge with your existing project. You have acquired some knowledge and try to merge this knowledge with or apply this knowledge to any of your existing project in your CV. In that way, you will know many things about your project, which no one can tell it out. Okay, so that is one way of quantifying your knowledge in Snowflake. So once you do that one, you can claim that you have a good attitude and you have some real-time exposure. And companies, they will try to estimate you, and if you are up to the mark, then they can give you an opportunity to work for them. Okay, so this is one option. And remember, nowadays, okay, I must have added one more slide for the certification thing along. See, the input for certifications is that see the certificate, the training which I was providing, right? So right now, so this was really fair enough to clear the certification on 2020. In the year 2020, the training whatever I have provided was fair enough to clear the certification, and many people claimed that too. But recently, I see that the certification pattern got changed, and people who are part of my training as well as who are not part of my training, combining together, the average attempt to clear and certification is 2 to 3 times. I repeat, the average attempt to clear the Snowflake certification in the current situation is 2 to 3 times. So this means that for each and every attempt, you have to pay 15,000 rupees for every attempt. Okay, so just because of that, I am not giving up any guarantee on certification that if you join this one and then if you join my training, you will be able to claim that you will be able to clear the certification. I'm not claiming like that. Okay, so this is one thing which I wanted to tell you. Okay, and if you are part of this complete end-to-end training, right? So this project-based content will be covered as a part of this one. Okay, and one more thing is that people who are choosing for this option, okay, so they must really have that freshness from the start till the end. Okay, so please don't give up in the middle. Okay, and that way it is waste of time for you and for me as well. Okay, so this is one thing, and I'll just quickly share you the project flow so that you can. This is one documentation kind of thing. Okay, so these are the notes from my side, whatever I have taken for my classes. Okay, this is one quick flow. Okay, so I will embed this one in the PPT. Okay, so you will import data from one source and export it into one cloud, and then again automatically import it into the Snowflake again. Okay, so this is one flow, but don't underestimate this one. This is the data flow followed by most of the company. But only thing is that your data into this Amazon will not reach out from the Snowflake itself. It will come from any other places. It will be revealed only when you are joining the project. Okay, so I'll share this one. So I mean, knowledge is for free, so it's there is no point in hiding up the knowledge. Okay, so we will. I'll try to share whatever that is available free of. I mean that makes sense to everyone. I'll not share anything and everything to keep you spam out or just for a hobby purpose. I will not share something to you or just to show up my presence. I will not share anything to you. If it is really going to help you out in any way, then only I'll share something. Otherwise, I'll not share that one. Okay, but mostly whenever I end up with some precious material, I'll share it with you. But definitely, if I come up with any dumps for Snowflake in the future, I will not do that one, because if we start getting dumps, so far there is no dumps for Snowflake. Okay, so that's a really good thing, because if you get dumps, then there will not be any segregation between people who has Snowflake knowledge and who don't have Snowflake knowledge. So this way it is bad for everyone. Okay, so remember, Snowflake dumps is not an easy way to gain what you wanted. It's actually a trouble for everyone. Just if you a good example is this AWS Solution Architect. So in the internet, you can find all these dumps for clearing of Snowflake, and many other certifications are also having dump, and obviously the certification does not have any value to anyone. Okay, so that's all from my side. Okay, so I'll add up some more slides on this PPT and I'll share it in the Google Drive. Okay, so you can download it and refer for any future thing, and I'll share this recordings also in the Google Drive. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, you can ask me.